Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. She is an award-winning author. She has worked with many to improve their communication skills, specifically their writing skills. She's actually developed a system to do this, which we're going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. By the way, in terms of teaching people, her students have been nominated for Emmy Awards, won a Peabody, produced some major films in Hollywood. Oh, and by the way, she's got a #1 book right now on Amazon. So let's definitely dig into what she's got going on. She's the creator of the Horowitz system. She's Marilyn Horowitz. She's back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back. This is great.
Professor Horowitz, congratulations on being #1 on Amazon. Your book, Cooking Humor, that category, am I getting that right?
It's called Bad Girl Pie. It makes sense, right?
Hmm.
And the best thing is we got a couple of reviews completely unsolicited from people who do this sort of thing on book reads. Two very attractive ladies talking about my book, and they were inspired to make pie. Because the name of the book is Bad Girl Pie, and the book has recipes. And what cracked me up was one of the ladies got on and she said, well, I'm not sure I can handle bad girl pie. But luckily in the book, there's a recipe for good girl pie, which is, all the locale stuff. So she made the locale. So I was holding my breath because she makes my pie. I'm hoping, like, did I get the recipe right? It was good. I was very relieved.
That's so cool. Slight digression here. You're walking into a bakery. You can have any pie you personally want. Which one are you going to pick?
I'm going to ask for a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's not pie.
I don't need dessert.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
But not to put you off your food. If I had to have pie, I think it would probably be one of those French torts, with the fruit and the custard. Yeah, that would probably be it.
As soon as you said that, I got a visual of it. I really did. And like a very positive one, like, oh, you know what? Yeah, if you're going to do it, who needs like a big slice of pie? Just have a, tart, whatever it's going to be, but prepared well. You don't need a lot. You just need something that's really done very quality in terms of, the ingredients and the way it's put together. What do you want people to know about this book?
Well, I want people to know that it's got a lot to say about a lot of things. It's being marketed as chick lit, but it's not. In the sense that the story is about a woman who realizes that she can be herself at a great cost. It's all about self-realizing and what the price tag is through humor. She's very, very funny. What I want people to know about the book is that I'm the poster child for what I do. In other words, if I didn't do my Beyond Happiness practice and I didn't do the hug every morning and I didn't really work with the parts of me that don't like me, whether they're the parts of me or not is a conversation. But the idea is that we're told we have this inner critic. I think it's been installed. I don't believe that it's intrinsic. It's just the side. But working with it and getting out of the habit of allowing it to ruin your day is really what the work is about. And so in the book, what she does is she really, really hits bottom. And when she, has a moment of clarity afterwards, she goes, okay, next. And that's the moment at which she transforms. And I think if I had a message, it's that you can recover from anything.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There's so many underlying themes and insight in this book that I believe the average reader might not be picking up on them immediately, but this is a book that's got a story, characters, but it's also looking at shadow work, which is super cool. I'm going to say, sometimes you hear these words and it's like can be perceived to be negative, ulterior motive. This is to help us move our lives forward. Like you talk about parts. We all have parts of our personality. I'm not talking about multiple personalities. I'm talking about the different parts of our personalities. And like you said, we're always talking to ourselves in our mind with the monkey chatter and derailing what we want to do and putting up blocks and all of that. It seems that this book exposes some of that with a character to help your life move forward, right?
Well, yeah, hopefully it's fair. Hopefully there's no architecture. My grandfather was a movie lawyer, and Samuel Goldwyn once said, if you have a message, send a telegram. I
Hmm.
mean, when you write books, you don't want them to be heavy. It's not a parable, is what I'm trying to say. It's not a lightly hidden, self-help. It's not. It's just that
Right.
the stuff that she's up against requires do or die. You know.
So you said just a moment ago that we can recover, we can move our lives forward from pretty much anything. Was there a moment in your life where you had that epiphany where you said to yourself, Marilyn, you're a badass. You're a warrior. You have resilience. I didn't know you had it in you, meaning you talking to yourself. And was there a moment where that clicked in your head like, oh, whoa, yeah, I guess I do.
There have been several. And some of them are, seriously big, and some of them are seemingly small, but are more traumatic than others. So yeah, and I can tell you many stories. Would you like one small one?
Your choice. I'd love that.
Okay, well, a small one was that when I was a teenager, which was a while ago. I was an artist, and my parents sent me up to Woodstock to study at the Art Students League for summer because I'd been kicked out of my preceding summer camp. And they didn't really know what to do with me. I was not a it's not a, I was not cut out to be a camper. Um, and at a certain point in the summer, I went swimming with a bunch of my friends, and we all got sick. It turns out that the nearby factory had done a toxic waste spill, and many people had been ill. But I got sicker. I was staying up in the mountains with friends. I was not my parents weren't around. They were busy getting divorced, so I was on my own. And I had to get myself off the mountain. We were up in Boyceville, and it was sort of a hippie community, and get myself to the hospital. Uh, and There are two parts of this. The first part is I was so sick. By the time I walked into the doctor's office, I knew that I was literally on death's door. I mean, literally, I was so sick. And I go in, and as the world would have it, the lady says, "Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have an appointment." And even in my state of, just I laughed, and I thought, okay, here comes the real world. And I said to her, and I hope people won't take this wrong. I said, look, my father is a very big record executive. He is the guy who puts all the famous people who live up here out into the world. And if I die on your doorstep, you're going to be very sorry. So I go outside, and it's a warm day. It's about 4 o'clock. I can feel that beautiful sunlight that you get up there, and I'm
Mm.
sitting on the steps, beautiful warm slate steps. And I honestly think to myself, I thought, okay, I'm going to die. And it was okay. But that was the first part of the revelation. I was like, okay, this is fun. So I just gave in. And then the next thing I knew, I was swimming underwater, and I was still me. I knew I was dead.
And this is actually happening?
Yeah. And I was well, I mean, actual is one of those relative terms, but in my experience, it happened. And so I sort of wake up, and I'm swimming in this beautiful underground cavern, looks like something out of a beautiful movie. There's celestial voices. And I hear people calling, saying, Marilyn, come this way, swim this way. And I think to myself, this is how I knew it was me. I made a joke. I said, oh, I don't hear any of my relatives. I guess I'll go. Crack myself up, remorse, and I start to swim towards these people who I'm relieved that I won't know. And the next thing I know, I wake up, and I'm in Kingston Hospital with 3 IVs in the emergency, in the extensive unit, next to a woman who's coughing her lungs out with 4, cancer 4. And I was still here. I was like, okay, I must be here for a reason.
Would you call it a near-death experience?
No doubt.
Wow. Talk about resilience and bouncing back. Wow. Yeah, was that the beginning of you realizing that you have maybe trust in yourself? Maybe the beginning of realizing that, I can handle certain things, or you didn't realize it until you stacked it up later in life when you look back like, oh, I did that. I did that. Oh, I did that. I'm actually stronger than I thought.
No, my self-esteem was sufficiently bad that I think that I really only started to understand uh, how okay I was when I started doing my own practice about 2 years ago. I don't know, because maybe it's family or whatever, but I never my self-esteem was not good. You know, it was never.
Hmm.
I mean, I succeeded in spite of it, but I can only imagine what it would have been like if I had actually been in the state that I am now, where I was able to, find happiness in the moment and so on and so forth. Now, I've always been very, very hard on myself, which people have remarked on, and I always took it as a compliment. So that's so. So I would say that I have tremendous resilience because I've succeeded in spite of this
Hmm.
very negative self-image.
What you just said, how maybe your life would have been moved more forward and faster once you figured this stuff out sooner when you were younger. Um, I got you on that. I know exactly what you're saying. I really do. You're speaking what I would say. It's kind of
Wow, that's
interesting. Um,
cool.
and I guess maybe the turning point, and I'm only going to say this because you pretty much said it, but the turning point for me probably was about 4.5 years ago, where I happened to meet somebody, and one of the first things they said was, "Why don't you ever live in the moment?" And I said, "What are you talking about? You don't live in the moment. You think about the past, you think about the future, but you're not living here now." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And it took me quite a few months till I started figuring that out and then started looking deeper into the subconscious and all of that. Tomorrow, I'll be living in a bucket list moment. I'll be jumping out of a plane for the first time. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. And I don't even, it's like I'm trying to think about it like, should I be worried? Should I be concerned? Should I be nervous? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not. It's just whatever. It's just another flight, you know? But it's amazing when you have those epiphanies.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you because I often do, which one you like so much.
Go right
Is
ahead.
because I think you are doing what everybody else is. I think you're minimizing the challenge that you are presenting yourself with. I think you would flip it around and be very proud of yourself for wanting to test it in the real world. I think that's a very interesting conversation.
Um, I'm not going to disagree with you. And the reason, and I'm talking about life in your 20s, your 30s, and on,
Yeah.
if this was realized, what we're talking about, doing the work, the shadow work or whatever, I feel I would be different, and closer to whatever goals there that I might have, if I realize that sooner. To your point, what you just said, I agree with you there, where even in the last 5 years, things presented, people would say to me, how you getting by? Like, how you doing it? And I said, I don't know. I just keep moving forward. I don't, I don't even have an answer. I guess I'm minimizing it because other people are seeing it. So yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Well, and survival is a very minimizing is a very useful survival skill. But a lot of the stuff we have when it worked when we were kids stops working, and that's part of what the Beyond Happiness method is about, which is this the stuff that was protecting you
Yes.
when you were younger is now sinking your ship because you have this part of your brain called the venula, which is ironically right next to your third eye, which is up here. And it's this little thing here. And it really destroys your life because it wants to protect you. Its job, like the biological imperative, is to protect you from disappointment, failure, and possibly death. And so it shuts you down. It doesn't let you try. It keeps you small because it's in its mind. It's not malicious. This whole inner critic stuff is just another story that needs to be unpacked, in my opinion. What you've got a biological imperative that says change is dangerous. It's really that simple.
Mm. And it's so true. And when somebody says, "Do you realize you're acting like a child?" You are. You really are, because you're piloted by, just like you said, what was in your childhood. And why is, and we're referring to the subconscious. Why is it doing that? Well, it's protecting you. It's keeping you safe.
That's what it thinks it's doing.
It thinks it's doing 100%. It doesn't know you're an adult. It doesn't know things. It doesn't know you're on the playground, not getting bullied. It just knows that you have a confrontation in adult life, and it's putting up blocks. Um, One of amazing what you do to help people make these realizations, but at the same time help them communicate and improve their writing skills. It's an interesting blend you got going on here. Horowitz system. Tell us about that.
Well, when I went to film school. I made a film. I sold it to cable. I then worked in the industry. And then at a certain point, I really wanted to write a screenplay. And it was just so difficult. And I kept looking at the way we were being told. I think Sid Fields was around and lots of good people, but I couldn't get it. You know what I mean? It was too formulaic for me. And remember that I told you that I've been studying consciousness since I was a tiny girl because my mother was a philosophy professor. So I
Hmm.
started by reading every fairy tale, every Greek myth, and I moved my way up through Wittgenstein and Plato and Aristotle. I'm not saying how much I understood them, but I read them and a lot of other stuff. And at a certain point, I became aware that stories. I think the book that I read was the Five Intelligences by Howard Gardner, where he talks about how we when you say someone has a gift, well, he would describe that as a certain type of intelligence that's a little sharper. Like if you have a gift for music, which you do, but that's a type of intelligence that requires certain components, as opposed to having a intelligence for interpersonal conversation, which you also do. But maybe you're not great at making pies. Maybe your baking intelligence is not up where the other ones are.
I'm not. I don't cook. And can I cook if I put my mind to it? Yeah, I could, but it doesn't interest me. I get bored. But you're right, so.
So that plus studying a lot of my mother taught the psychology, the philosophy of psychology. So I read Jung and Freud and all those people through that lens. Not in other words that it was about thinking. It was what are the constructions. And I told you I come from this Jewish intellectual family. My grandparents wrote this book called Faith Through Reason, which was two lawyers. My grandmother was a lawyer also, reconciling Judaism and Christianity. So this dialogue about the nature of life and reality. I'm sorry, that's Amazon. There's nothing I can do. They will keep ringing. Hang on.
Yeah. Again, she is number one on Amazon right now. So we'll give her a moment. She's and so many positive reviews, by the way, for the book.
Thank you. Its delivery, of course, was supposed to happen at 8 o'clock this morning. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm sorry. Where were we?
Did you order your own book? Is that what the order is? No, I'm kidding.
Never occurred to me.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about your mother,
Oh,
philosophy,
okay.
and I think it was the last thing you said. You mentioned reference the book.
Oh, I was answering your question. So they wrote a book called Faith Through Reason, which is still available, which is two Jewish lawyers reconciling Christianity and Judaism. Very interesting. And so with that kind of lineage, I was always aware that there was more to this than meets the eye. And everything I read kept telling me what the problems were, how to think about them, but no one told me how to solve any.
Hmm.
And I thought, Freud said the only way to access your subconscious or unconscious people is through dreams. I thought that's not true. There's got to be a way of doing it. So so to answer your question, that's why all of this, because my intellectual curiosity would not let me take no for an answer.
You talk about accessing your subconscious. How would you do it? How do you do it?
Well, the reason that I teach the Beyond Happiness practice, which I think we've done with the hug, and then we can do it again at the end of the show, is because that gets you right into the subconscious while you're awake. Remember, 12 years old, I read this thing by Freud that says you cannot be the royal road to the subconscious is through dreams, unconscious. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I want to be able to access my creative unconscious when I'm awake, because otherwise, I'm not in control. And
Hmm.
after years, so if we do this, if just by putting your hands on your shoulders and taking a breath, even if you don't do anything else, what you've done is you have wired the two halves of your brain together. And you'll see if you look up towards your third eye and you close your eye, you'll feel an opening and relaxation, right? Feel that, take a breath. Right. So then if you add a few affirmations and you smile, because when you smile, it sends oxytocin, it sends a happy cocktail to your brain. And then you say, hopefully into the mirror somewhere, you say, I love you, Steve. Repeat it.
I love you, Steve.
We'll always be together.
We'll always be together.
We'll always be safe.
We'll always be safe.
We are enough.
We are enough.
And we expect and demand better.
And we expect and demand better.
And then you take a breath, keep your eyes closed. And now you think of a word that would make you happy. What's the first word?
A word that would make me happy? Peace.
Okay. And now tell me a little story about peace.
Happy to do so. So I'm not very religious, but I go to church, when I was younger, and people would say, peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I would just say it back, peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. Until one day I realized that I don't have any peace. And then I worked on that and I found peace. Is it always easy to find? No, but I realized what it is and how it's important for you to seek it out.
Okay, so now take a deep breath, give yourself a pat and release it. How do you feel?
A lot of interesting things going on there. So I've done hypnotherapy to access the subconscious. And just what you demonstrated is what takes place, where you can see yourself adult to a child, literally like in your mind. It's like watching a movie. You're facing yourself. And I did exactly what you said. I'm facing myself and reassuring my younger self, I'll always be there for you. I will never let you down. I got your back. I'm there. It's going to be okay. We just did that. We just did that. And crossing of the arms, aside from connecting to both sides of the brain, many of us don't feel love. We don't feel connection. That allows you to connect with yourself and feel like you're hugging yourself. You're giving yourself love. Because nobody's going to do it better than you. Nobody's going to know you better than you. Nobody's going to take care of you better than you. Nobody. I don't care who it is, who you marry, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. It's you. So that was very powerful. Thank you for that.
And so the way that you solve the problem of the biological self not wanting to change is that it just hasn't evolved. So, but if you, again, the idea is that you do the practice for 30 days, you give yourself a hug 2 or 3 different times, certainly when you go to bed and when you wake up. And what happens is after a few weeks, your biological imperative says, I don't know about this happiness thing. I was scared of it, but now I see that the physical form that I'm supposed to be taking care of is actually flourishing and is healthier. So maybe I've got to make room to encourage this instead of shutting it down as I've been doing it for most of this person's life.
What we just did, what do you call that?
That's called the Beyond Happiness Method.
Say it again?
Beyond Happiness Method.
And it doesn't, you focus on what would make you happy? That's the focus?
Well, that's the interim stage. Then you can, then it's kind of a Swiss Army knife in the sense that you can use it to solve relationship problems. You can solve it to write emails. You can solve it to find out what you're feeling when you're upset. You don't know why you're upset. Because what's happening is that little story that you wrote is about you explaining to yourself how you found the purpose of your life. It's a very heavy story, which is when you were little, you didn't know what the word peace meant. But once you understood that it was important and you didn't know what it was, that became your life's focus. Now, if you look back, you're going to see that you were telling yourself something that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm. I do believe, though, we know everything we need to know. It's
we don't know it consciously.
Say that again?
You don't know it consciously.
Exactly right. We have all the answers. You're sitting there, you're wrestling with a decision. Should I go left? Should I go right? Pick A, pick B. You know the answer. Your body knows the answer. How do you access it? Maybe what you helped us with there, is one of those ways to access it. And I want to add one more thing to that. We're almost out of time. we're addressing the kid inside of us, right? What does a kid always want? Mom, Dad, hug me, make me feel comfortable, safe. That's what we're doing there. There's be even times where if I can't fall asleep, I got things on my mind. This sounds crazy. I sit there and I just tap my chest. Just tap, just rub a little bit. Yeah. And right away I'm like, comfort. Okay. Yeah. Boom. Out. Done. Falling asleep.
Do the hug. Try it 3 times a day. See what happens to you.
Sure.
And what I want to say about that is that yes, there's the kid part of us, but it's also a misnomer because they've proved that children need 12 touches a day to, hugs and whatever.
I don't think it's just children. I think it's adults.
You make my case for me. So I'm not sure we're talking to our inner child. I'm not sure we're talking to our inner selves, our present inner selves as well.
Fascinating. You run deep. I love it. Tell us best way to find you, learn about how you can help others. We didn't even get into how you help people improve their communication and writing, and everything now is written, as it has been for hundreds, thousands of years, written communication. Now more than ever, everything we do, right down to posts and things like that on social, needs to be effectively communicated. This is what you help people with. And you got a great book too, which is number 1. Best way to find you? How do we do that?
MarilynHorowitz.com is my website. And I give a bi-weekly podcast, which we had one last night. It was fantastic. We're teaching a new thing called the 4-minute magic, which is a guaranteed way of manifesting that has not been taught before. It's a pretty radical technique. Works. I'm happy to share. And next week, just put a post-it note somewhere on my file and say, Marilyn, we didn't talk about this last week. Let's do it. And then we'll do it. So Marilyn,
I'm already thinking that. I was already, as soon as you said, 4 ways manifest all, I was like, can we do that next week? And before you could even say that, I'm thinking it, and then you said it. So I would love to do that. And links to the book, Amazon, all of that is also on your website, right?
Yes, and also you can just go to Amazon. And then the other book is called The Word of the Day, How to Transform Your Writing in 15 Minutes a Day. And it's written for writers, but it's also useful for anybody who wants to write. So that might be very helpful.
100%. And again, I'm going to say, not just people who want to be a writer, an author. Everything we do is written. You send a work email. How's that going for you? Are you real comfortable with the way that presented itself, the way you wove the sentences together? Probably not. And what was the result of that? Same thing with presentations and all of that. And this is all of what you help people with, but also with a focus on the subconscious and what's actually going on in our minds. Really fabulously interesting, as you are, Marilyn. Thank you for being here today, and want to give you a hug.
Back at you. Give yourself one, and I'll see you next Thursday.
You got it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.